Welcome, fellow Gear Pie, Joe Pal Putty Man here, and welcome to my official review for the movie Monster Hunter. Now, before we get into this, don't worry, there's not going to be spoilers at the beginning when I do the review part. It's just going to be talking about the movie, the comparison to why, I'm not really going to give details about the game and that, but just if it's good as far as being a gamer and as far as being an outside viewer that's never played the game. But before you go, also be aware we are doing a giveaway to see Wonder Woman on HBO Max. So if you want to be part of that, make sure that you're here at the towards the middle of this video, where I'm going to warn you about when I do go to spoilers. But before I go into spoilers, I'm going to tell you how you can actually be a part of this giveaway so you can see when Wonder Woman comes out on December 25th on HBO Max. So make sure you're here for that. I'll explain everything you need to do towards the middle of this video. But we're going to go ahead and get into the review for Monster Hunter. So let's go ahead and begin. Alright, so when it comes to Monster Hunter, there's a lot of things that I want to discuss when it comes to, the movie in general. You see, the director of this movie is well known for doing another popular video game movie called Resident Evil. And you'll find something kind of ironic, of course, or of course, if you're well aware, his wife, which by the way, the director's name is Paul W.S. Anderson, he actually is married to Mila Jovovich, or Jovovich. I can't pronounce it, to be honest. I can never pronounce her name. But of course, as you see in this movie, she's actually in this movie. So, first and foremost, I will state this. He does understand the game. Upon doing research, I'm not that familiar with the lore outside of what I've been doing research in the last couple of days to a week. When it comes to the game, I delved right into a lot of the lore. I played a little bit, and I've also delved deeply into the lore as much as I could. And upon seeing this movie, there's a lot of things I feel that might be misunderstood if you're not a regular viewer or gamer that's played the game. And at the same time, it may be lost on gamers because of, well, let's just say Paul W.S. Anderson's way of understanding the original material but making it his own, much like he did in Resident Evil. But see, here's the thing that makes it a little bit this a little bit different from the original Resident Evil. I feel later down the road, when he started directing the later Resident Evil movies, he understood that you have to kind of fanfare to fans. So I think that's what he did here, is he did put a little more love into it, but at the same time felt he had to make it something that was substantially available for everyone. And sometimes, and this is just in my eyes, sometimes when you do something like that, and I feel like you may get a new audience like Resident Evil did, but at the same time, you lose interest from the hardcore fans in that situation. So whether or not, whether or not that might be, so to say, lost upon general public may be different. I felt like being an outsider looking in that didn't play much of the game, I did enjoy it, but not as much as I would go and see something like Marvel's, the Marvel's movie Avengers Endgame or things of that nature, where there wasn't as much excitement. I feel like there was a little too much, to be honest with you. A little too much to where it wasn't really overwhelming. It was more of, how do I say this? It was more, they were trying to add a little too much fanfare. Like, I feel like Paul W.S. Anderson doesn't know how to make both audiences happy, which is a common thing that's hard when it comes to gamers and moviegoers. When you're trying to adapt a video game into a movie, you have to understand that video games are movies in general. So you sometimes do have to make your own, much like Sonic the Hedgehog or Detective Pikachu, but then you have to be able to substantially keep the core audience happy. And I feel like that this movie kind of missed a little bit of that mark. I see the excitement, I see the appeal, I see why a lot of people might actually enjoy this movie. But then at the same time, I feel like in a lot of ways it's missed upon any hardcore fans. They will see things that they're going to love to see, especially one character that I'm familiar with but not hardcore familiar with. And when I saw the character, I was like, okay, this is pretty exciting. So and I'm going to talk about that in my spoiler part of the review, but I won't talk about that right now. Again, I will give you a spoiler warning when I get there. Again, my whole point to this whole thing, just to give you an idea, is that I think if you're not a, so to say, rabid fan of Monster Hunter, you may enjoy this. I think if you are a fan of Monster Hunter, that you may get a little bit of like, I'm happy that I saw that in the big screen. And again, I think this is more one of those things that if you do want to see the monsters or some of your favorite monsters, you definitely need to go see it on the big screen. But I feel like once you see it at home, it's going to be lost. You're like, I could see these creatures the same size in the video game itself. So with that, unfortunately, I don't feel like this is going to be like, if you ever did a top 10 of video game movies, I don't even feel like this could even break Resident Evil. Resident Evil has something a little bit different than this has, where this is a good movie, but it's a good movie that should have been made years ago. And I don't know how to make that make sense. It's hard to explain. Because now that CGI is a more prominent effect when it comes to movies, I feel like you have to have more of a cohesive plot. And with this movie, I don't feel like we got enough time with some of the characters. And tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I feel like some of the characters, again, it's a situation where none of the characters from any video games seem to be in this movie, much like Resident Evil did, and might do fanfare later. I feel like the only thing that was kind of like they did in Resident Evil. They just, the monsters, the creatures, things of that nature. And even, at least I will say in this has way more references to the game than Resident Evil definitely did. That is for sure a true fact. But again, whether or not it's relevant to the movie, as far as like, what's the word I'm looking for? As far as keeping a fan, an avid fan across to see it, might be lost, unfortunately. So, with that being said, when I was doing this, I decided to, with my new reviews, I decided I'm going to go and set up a new scoring system. And for this one, I wanted to be a little bit more generous just because it's my first time giving a scoring for a movie review. So, based on how I would have felt as an outsider looking in, I think I might have enjoyed it a little bit, especially in the theaters, if I wasn't aware of the lore. And in that situation, I do believe the best score for this would be a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 seems like a good score when it comes to Monster Hunter and whether or not it's something you should go see. I honestly think you should wait till it comes out on digital or it comes out on streaming service. But if you want something where it deals with military, like really, really battle ready characters and monsters, like Godzilla, Titan monster type thing, then this definitely might be the movie for you. But if you're not in that category, it might be lost. Kids will probably enjoy the monsters. There's a little bit of gore that I feel like a young kid can deal with. I would say like early teens or younger, like between 10 and 12, they would probably enjoy it. But then once you go beyond there, I feel like it's get lost in the shuffle. So again, that's my final verdict when it comes to Monster Hunter. Now, before we get into anything else, I do know that a lot of people are here, based on my other video, to find out how they can be part of the Wonder Woman giveaway, guys. So, if you want to be part of the Wonder Woman HBO Max giveaway, here's how you can enter. First and foremost, what you'll need to do is you'll need to, if you can, please make sure you like and subscribe. That just seems obvious. And then in the comments below, I want you to type WW84. That's WW84 for the movie Wonder Woman 84. Type that in the comments. What I'm going to do is for every subscriber that types it in there, I'm going to go ahead and give them one entry into the giveaway. For any members, you're actually going to get 2 entries. It doesn't matter what tier you have. We're just going to do all members. You will get 2 entries into the giveaway. So, with that being said, if you just go ahead and type below WW84, and that'll get you into the giveaway for the HBO Max free trial, which I will be announcing a winner on the 22nd, and I will give you until the 24th, which will be 2 days, to claim your prize. So I will be doing the giveaway on the 22nd in a video. So you will need to come back. And then if you don't claim it by the 24th, then I may make it open for someone in Discord, or I might give it to somebody else. So make sure you claim the prize. Again, if the person doesn't claim it, I probably will just make it as a member, toss it into a member giveaway in the Discord. So honestly, being a member, no matter what in this situation, is going to be beneficial to you when it comes to the giveaway. But again, you could still win this as a subscriber. My last giveaway did a subscriber one. A member didn't want a subscriber one. So you can still win this. And with that being said, it is time to go into spoiler territory, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you do not want to see any spoilers for Monster Hunter the movie, this is the time that you need to go ahead and stop the video. Comment below, get into the giveaway, WW84, and then stop video. If you have seen Monster Hunter the movie, and you are quite curious about each of the monsters, secret characters, and maybe even some secrets of the lore, then definitely stick around, because I'm going to go in depth with some of the scenes and so on and so forth in this part of the review. So, with that being said, you have been warned. There will be spoilers. Let's continue. Okay, so with this spoiler part of the review, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go, by using the trailer, and go through some of the stuff that happened, and also show some of the stuff as well, with, in-depth analysis and things that you as fans, as well as myself, could go through, even in the comments, to have fun with. And again, if at any point I need to be corrected, I have no problem being corrected on this. I like being informed and educated. So if there's at any point you do feel like, oh, he's wrong about that, please go in the comments, tell me, hey, you did that wrong, or you were incorrect about that subject. So with that, let us begin by going through each monster, shall we? All right, so the first monster we're going to go into is the Diablos. This is the first monster they actually counter in the movie, and this is a monster that actually is a prominent monster in the game. Now, the reason why I felt like Diablos was done right when it comes to this movie was for several reasons. One, if you notice, a lot of the time when they were trying to kill the monster, they did focus on his head. And if you do remember, if Diablos in the game gets shot in the face, it's considered a weak spot of his face, and you do see them use that in the movie and as well the game. Which, as I'm going through the monsters, I'm gonna also be talking about the lore and some of the other stuff. And the one thing I want to talk about is, when it comes to the lore of the ancient world, what's it called? Ancient civilization. That's what I'm looking for. When they talk about the ancient civilization, I felt like that when we finally got into this movie, they were brought upon bringing the ancient civilization, and this is where why I talked about my review about why I felt like why Mr. Anderson, aka Paul W.S. Anderson, tend to not understand. Let's keep it in the world. Let's keep it like Lord of the Rings. Let's keep it to where it's set in the same world, and don't bring in our world. Now, I understand. I think I completely understand why he did this. If you realize, if you remember in the game, there's a lot of melee weapons. You know, the dual sword, the dual blades, the great sword, so on and so forth. And there's like the gun lance. And you even see, like, in the game, that games, things like gun lance, or, mechanized weapons where they use, like, explosives, show signs of guns and cannons and rockets, which, for me, it feels like, because they even stated in this, one of the hunters states, that their world brought upon the destruction of, or our world, let's say, brought upon the destruction of their world because of the weapons. And that's where it combined everything. So it's like they hinted at the ancient civilization, but unless you're aware of it, it's kind of lost upon you, outside of them just blatantly saying it. But without having any, like when you're going through the game and you're reading books or notes that characters in the game have left, it becomes something that feels lost. Now, Diablos, I feel like, on the other hand, was something different. For example, you notice that his horn gets broken, and that makes him a bloodbath Diablos, which I'm very happy he did, because if you also notice when they get close in, he does have the hint of red, after that, after his horn's broken off, and his eye is red too, like really dark red. So I feel like they did do a good job focusing on that, and that's where I feel like maybe some of the other ones are lost outside of the Rathalos. The Rathalos I feel like had a good setup, but even then, I feel like Rathalos should have been just the cutoff. Honestly, I feel like I know they want to extend this and make it like a trilogy or a saga, but in return, I feel like that's also going to be lost because you kind of put everything. It's too overwhelming. Like you put too much out there for us to go into, and I feel like that even with the Diablos in here, and then moving on to the next monsters, that we're getting way too much too soon. If you're going to make sequels, you don't have really too much to live up to if you're already putting the Darin Moran. I can never. Oh, sorry, the Gormagala. Sorry, the Gormagala in the movie. So, you know, but we'll get into the Gormagala, towards the end of this review. Let's move on to the next monster. Next, we have the Nursilla. Now, the Nursilla are the spider-like creatures that you see again in the trailer as well, that you also see in Monster Hunter. And I feel like the Nursilla were done pretty well. I actually don't know if in the lore or in the game itself if the Nursilla are afraid of bright light. So maybe that was the intention to give the characters a way to get free or get away. I don't, or maybe even because Nursilla only stayed in their caves in the game anyway. So I'm not exactly sure. Honestly, when it comes to some of the monsters you're going to see, I have some questions, especially with some of the names that they said out loud, and with which ones are in the game. But the Nursillas were actually pretty interesting and actually really entertaining to see in the movie. Though I feel like the reason they were there was to deal with the Diablos, which again is kind of in line with what happens in the game when you use any kind of armor or hide from a monster to make gear and weapons, or armor and weapons, let's say. So, you know, not really how much I can go into the Nursilla. Aside from them, the poisonous spikes and everything, that protrude from his back, which I actually feel like you can see them right here, the spikes within that, and of course the poison they brought out from that. So, the Nursillas honestly weren't too much interesting. What might be more interesting is what happens in the next two monsters, and I'll get into that right now. Okay, next we have the Apsaros. Now the Apsaros are those plant-eating creatures. They look probably more like dinosaurs than anything else. And honestly, they don't have really much, in mind when it comes to them that I really wanted to go into. They don't. They pretty much just are seen outside of a little bit of the trampling scene that you saw when the Rathalos attacks, and of course introduces us to the other hunters. So honestly, the Apsaros I felt like were just a visual. Maybe put a little bit of danger for them running, but I don't feel like they were prominent. Now, the scene that the Apsaros appear brings up another situation that I don't know if it has to do with the quest, which makes it even more humorous, and at the same time, what was said by the hunter, the main hunter that you see that meets up with Artemis, which is Mila's character. So I kind of want to jump into that right now because that seems more prominent. Let's go into it. Okay, so the character or the creature, I'm sorry, the monster that I'm referring to is actually called Zamtrios, which is the shark-like creature that jumps out of icy waters to attack you. The reason this fell out of line and made me think that this might be one of those times where even I did research for this, and I feel like Paul W.S. Anderson just did the research and actually wasn't a avid fan of the game. And here is why. When it comes to Zamtrios, it states that it's an ice-dwelling creature or a dwelling like shark-like creature bipedal that would swim in the water and then jump out at you with its sharp teeth to attack you. Um, and of course, in this scene with the Apsaros, we do see that when she approaches the water to get something to drink, that she is attacked by one, and of course the hunter slices it down with its weapon, that makes the joke about being bait. Well, when he says it in the movie, he says Katseteros, and Zamtrios, Katseteros. Maybe it just sounds close together that I misheard it. But another thing that makes me think that this could be just a totally different reference to Monster Hunter would be the way you acquire the weapon that is called the shark attack. In the game, there's a mission where you end up gaining a weapon called a shark attack, where it's a shark like looking weapon that looks exactly like a shark. So it could be a reference to the mission to gain the shark attack, or it could be just in general Zamtros or Zamtrios, and I just totally missed the reference. Honestly, if there is a creature by the name of Katseteros, I looked it up online and couldn't find anything at all about it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next monster. If you have information about this, make sure you comment below. All right, next we have Rathalos. Now, Rathalos is the prominent bipedal dragon that I feel was probably the highlight of this, but at the same time, and a crushing blow is what made Mr. Anderson, I'm going to keep calling him Mr. Anderson, Paul W.S. Anderson, the director, where I feel like he tends to want to blend our world with the gaming world. I understand trying to have relatability, but understand no time during a movie like Lord of the Rings did we need relatability by bringing our world into the world of Lord of the Rings. And I feel like that's where it lost. Rathalos, I felt like would have been much more entertaining in its own world. Bringing the weapons in is understandable, but that's kind of why I feel like what she's done could have been like her coming to the world and using their weapons combined with her rocket or things like that could have been a way for them to invent new weapons to fight the Rathalos, which then would then prepare them for the next big enemy. And so Rathalos is kind of like is kind of like the same way they did with Diablos, where I feel like they did show his weakness just like they did in the game, and that was entertaining to know that, and she used it. But at the same time, it just felt like it was lost in the mix, because now we've had we had a couple big creatures now, and Rathalos was supposed to be the big one, but it didn't seem as exciting as I wanted it to be, unfortunately. So with that, I feel like Rathalos might have been lost in the mix. Great time with the CGI, great fight scenes in some of this part, but let alone, I just like, okay, let's put it this way. When it came into our world, it felt like the destruction should have been way more catastrophic for me to really feel the impact of fighting this thing. It destroying the military did not make me feel sad at all. It just made me feel like, can we put it in a city? Give me a little more entertaining you can do that way. That's not as entertaining put in the desert fighting a bunch of guys that are built for fighting battles, even though this might not be the battle they prepared for. I don't feel as bad for the soldiers. I mean, I feel bad for soldiers in real life, but when it comes to movies, they're put in there for that situation to fight. So it doesn't give its time on the screen as dramatic. And that's kind of also why I lost touch with the next monster. Gore Magala. Listen, upon doing research for this movie and just the game in general when it comes to monsters I'm not familiar with, Gore Magala was one of those ones that I may not have fought on my own, but prominently in the lore of Monster Hunter, Gore Magala is huge. Thanos huge. So to see Gore Magala at the end was actually disheartening and upsetting. This is too soon to be unleashing something of this size, let alone not making you even feel it's like even that impactful. For just a few of them to be able to fight the Gore Magala sword, because you gotta remember in the lore, Gore Magala is one of the most devastating creatures. And what makes it even weirder, and after I'd seen it and realized that it was actually in the trailer, when I saw, if you look in this right here, the video right beside me, you'll notice the Gormagala was actually 1 minute and 38 seconds. There's still a minute left of the trailer as well before they even end the trailer. They end it on Rathalos, but show Gormagala, and then the movie big ending is Gormagala, which already was known in the trailer. For someone that's a big creature within the lore of Monster Hunter, I feel like Mr. Paul W.S. Anderson didn't understand how he could utilize that in a better way. It's disconcerting. It's disheartening of how these movies can continue, especially if we have these big people, all these people that watch the movie and never played the game. They don't understand how big Gormagala is. So, unless the games are going to bring out something way more massive than that, I feel like then it's lost. Like, this might be just the last, If he's not making any more of these movies, then this is it, and I guess this is a good way to end it. But honestly, to me, it's a little bit more overwhelming, and it gets lost in the shuffle, putting so many big creatures in one movie that's like around 2 hours long. This isn't Lord of the Rings, and it's lost. Honestly, the monsters were not the highlight for me. So you might be curious, what was the highlight? So the highlight for me was Palico. Palico was in the movie. Palico is actually a much bulkier version of him, cooking, doing a lot of the tasks that you would see any of the Palicos, or not just the Palicos, am I pronouncing it correctly? The Linees, no, the Lineans, the Lineans. I'm mispronouncing that. I guarantee you I am. Um, like I said, I feel like the Palico was actually the more fun thing. So to see him actually enter the fight at the end. By the way, if you didn't stay for the credits, you do get to see Palico kind of jump in. I shouldn't even spoil it for you, but you're at spoiler part. Palico at the end credits, or in the mid credits, mid to end credits, was pretty cool. And honestly, Palico was the only thing. Now, I love how they referenced him as a cat when in the games. I don't think they actually say cats. Um, I mean, they're bipedal cats, but I don't think they reference them as cats in the game. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the thing. But with that being said, I feel like just in general that Palico is only the highlight that I felt like was great. But it's going to be lost on a lot of moviegoers, I feel like, if they've never played the game, because they're just going to see Palico and go, what the heck is he all about? That's random. That's just random. A random cat. But maybe they'll look at it as maybe all the creatures of their world are massive, but then they would also think, why is the humans not massive? It's a it's a double entendre in that situation when it comes to the spoilers. But honestly, I want to know what you guys think. If you're a fan, comment below. Did you like some of the Easter eggs that they put within the movie? Did you like how they shut down some of the monsters by using their weaknesses, just like in the game? Do you feel like the dual blade, and with the dual blades, and of course the dual blades, the great sword, and the gun lance? Kind of the gun lance, really wasn't no gun lance, but let's just say the great sword, the dual blades, and of course the bow and arrow being used. Did you think that was pretty entertaining? Also the hook shot, things of that nature. What did you guys think? Comment below and tell me. And guys, I appreciate you guys sticking around for the review. It's been amazing. I appreciate you guys going to see the movie and coming to watch my review first and foremost. And again, make sure you guys sign up for the giveaway by typing WW84 in the comments below. I appreciate your time and your patience with me. I hope you enjoyed Monster Hunter, the movie. I will be doing the Wonder Woman review on December 25th, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Most of all, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that like button. Understand, hitting that subscribe button just gives you an idea of when to check back when I do my Wonder Woman review. And as always, I am Putty Man with Game of Hotheads, and do not forget, we're all about the high score. Peace out. I'll talk to y'all later.